We're back again. We are back with ball watching. Traditionally a St. Louis City SC podcast, but we've flexed up to support our men's national team and get around all the excitement that's coming from this World Cup. Hope you are digging the primers and recaps and all the coverage we've been given to you thus far. You got Jake here, Justin as well, and we're going to bring you today a primer for the U.S.'s round of 16 matchup against the Netherlands / Holland / the Dutch, whatever you prefer. But before we get into anything, I had a nice little conversation around soccer and with a newer fan, and we were thinking about the size of the ball in relation to the goal.
Oh, God.
And I had a question, and I had to look it up, and I was very far off on my answer was, how many regulation size balls, so size 5 soccer balls, fit into the frame of a regulation goal? A regulation goal, by the way, is the opening of a goal is 24 by 8 feet.
24 by 8?
Yeah. 8 high, 24 wide. So how many balls fit into that frame? Not into the goal, like the depth. Just think the frame, the opening.
I'm going to say 350.
Did you look this up?
No, I just did math real quick.
That's really good. So we'll back into it here because you're really close. I was going to give you about 10, and you've just been outside. The answer is 363. 363 balls would fit into the face of the net, and that's because you could fit 33 wide and 11 high.
I wasn't sure I just did 8 times 24, and that gives you 194, and then I was just add another 50. I don't know.
I respect it.
I respect it. The ball's not a foot wall. Yeah, wider top. But
I said like 180, so better. You're much better off than me. I just thought it was a lot bigger. I guess the net is a lot bigger. I was just thinking to myself, how is it not possible to score more goals in this? Like, it's crazy that we played 90 minutes and we have 0-0 draws when the ball is that size, and you could technically score on 363 different finite possibilities of placement in the goal. And that really simplifies the game a lot. But, like, it's crazy that we only get that many goals in a game sometimes.
Right. And then the U.S. has only given up 1.
Yeah.
And we've only scored 270 plus minutes. Yeah.
Right. Not a lot of goal scoring either way. But just a little fun start for you all. We are getting deep into the World Cup. And when I'm saying getting deep, we're closing out the group stage when you're hearing this and getting into the round of 16s. But first, I do want to do a quick little thoughts and prayers section for some of the elimination teams. Justin, who's been your biggest disappointment so far?
Belgium. I had a parlay for all the favorites to get out of the group, plus 114, and Belgium just smoked that. Not for them to even win the group, just get out. So they couldn't do it. What about you?
Denmark was not that I had them going too far, but I know they were the third most bet on team to go to the World Cup and win it. So very disappointing for them off the back of a exciting Euros competition back in 2021. So last year, otherwise CONCACAF. Costa Rica is about to be eliminated as we're recording this. And we are going to be the only remaining team left from CONCACAF. So Canada, they're going to be a rival.
I told you about Canada.
I know you did. And they qualified top of the World Cup qualification group for CONCACAF. Like, big whoop. You guys went to the World Cup and lost 3 times. Didn't win 1 game. They scored 1 goal. A lot of hype around a team that just didn't deliver at all. I still think they'll go back and say, hey, we made the World Cup and it's been such a long time. But they're going to be one to watch for years to come. I think 2026, they'll be looking to make more of an impact. I mean, it can't be less than what it was for this one. Mexico almost went down on yellow cards. That would have been so Mexico.
They would have rioted. I think I was happy that Saudi Arabia scored the goal.
Yeah,
that would have been awful to go be and then wait another 4 years because you had too many yellow cards. They gotta change up some of these tiebreakers.
Not the only teams eliminated, but those are the ones I just wanted to call out. And it really puts into context, Belgium, Denmark exiting, just how important and just how hard it is to get where we've gotten to. We've only been here a couple times, and we've only advanced past here twice, one of them being in the 1930, like, first installment of the World Cup, which, like, barely counts because that was such a different time back then, but we'll count it in the record books. But it just goes to show you that what we're doing and where we're at right now is we should be extremely proud of that. Not to be fine with where we're at, but happy and proud.
One more thing I'll touch on the World Cup as a whole. VAR is very prevalent. I think the one today was by far the most topsy-turvy one, where Croatia was awarded a PK. They went back and reviewed, and then there was an offsides before the PK even happened, and they just took it back completely, and then you can't argue it. So that was shocking to me. But then we'll start getting into the U.S. and Netherlands. There's some other big matchups that are locked up right now, and the ones that are locked are Argentina versus Australia, England, Senegal, France, and Poland. And then we have a couple teams that have already been pushed through, Morocco and Croatia, and they're waiting to see who they're going to play through today's games and tomorrow's games. So
shout out to Morocco. People forget we beat Morocco in June 3-0. It was a great game. It was a friendly, keep in mind, but we played a really good game, and they had a bunch of their players there. So, that just goes to show you we're capable of playing with some of the best. But kudos to them. Let's get into our game against Netherlands /Holland /the Dutch. So 2022 World Cup so far for the Netherlands. They come in as the 8th ranked team, according to FIFA's rankings, which aren't foolproof, but they're a yardstick to go based on. They are 2-1-0. So they have not lost. Their 2 wins were both 2-0 wins, and their tie was 1-1 with Ecuador. The general storyline around them is that those 2 wins, Qatar was the worst team in the tournament. They didn't really belong there. They're the worst team, like actual ranking wise, to ever play in a FIFA World Cup, and to the first host team to never gather a point. So that kind of tells you all you know about Qatar. And against Senegal is missing their best player in Sadio Mane, and they still left it late for Senegal, and they really struggled against Ecuador. We watched that game, Netherlands versus Ecuador. I had Ecuador in that game. I think they should have won. Ecuador pounded them, but couldn't find the winner. So I wouldn't say they limped their way through it, but it wasn't pretty getting to the group stage, but they did it.
They're the weakest group. I think a lot of people always talk about the Netherlands. They have great history in the World Cup. They have the record for playing the most World Cup finals without ever winning the tournament. Yeah. They finished second, 3 times?
Yeah.
And then, they also finished third. And it's just they're a very historic team, but that doesn't mean anything. We talked about that with the U.S. as well. It's all about the team that you have now. But also an interesting stat, they never lost a World Cup game in regular time by more than 1 goal.
Yeah.
That's surprising and tough.
It's going to be a tight affair.
Tough to do. Yeah.
It's going to be a tight affair. They're also coming off a little bit of a similar thing for us where we both did not qualify for the 2018 World Cup installment. So we both have that under our belts. And I guess that brings us a little bit to the U.S. Obviously, you all know we've been documenting how the U.S. has fared so far in their group stage up until the round of 16. They've got 1 win, two draws, and 0 losses. So undefeated. We've only conceded 1 goal, and that was a PK. No open play. Our XG against us would be a lot better if we hadn't given them a penalty, because a penalty is one of the highest XG opportunities you can give. And I've said a couple of different times, and you've agreed. This is a tournament that we're growing into consistently. We're not stumbling our way through. I think we're getting better as we go on, and I'm not to say that we're flawless either. I think we still have a lot better to get, and a lot more consistency to add, especially in the later part of games. But this is a team and a bunch of individuals as well that are also kind of growing into it and putting on better performances as we go on. So, optimistic there. I think the trend direction is a little bit different. The Dutch have been a little bit shaky, haven't faced the best competition yet. We've faced a strong England team, came out in the top. Not in the top in terms of results, but I think we're the better team on the day. We've got the big win against Iran, despite the nail biter that proved to be. And Wales probably should have done better against Wales, but is what it is at this point.
Let's keep moving. Other than that, the only thing that we really need to look at is, and still a little bit worrisome, and we've talked about this before, is our yellow cards. With Tyler Adams has 1, McKinney has 1, right. Ream has 1, Dest has 1, and Acosta has 1. The problem, and I still don't really understand this, that if any of them get a second one in this game or the next game, they're out for the game after. This doesn't reset until you get to the semis, because they don't want anyone missing a final on yellows. I think this should reset after the group stage. Either that or add up a third yellow card.
I agree.
Shouldn't just be 2, but that was just one more thing I want to throw.
I agree. No, good call out. I know we spoke probably off on that in a prior episode, but that's because I think it is stupid. It doesn't make sense to the mind to do it that way. So I guess we're kind of thinking about yellow cards through this game and into the next game even. So I was thinking it was just the end of this game, but no, we're looking at the quarterfinals as well.
5 games, and if you get 2 yellows, you have to sit. the next game. I think
and we have guys. We got plenty of guys on cards and critical guys at that. Only one of them I wouldn't really concern myself too much with. But Adams, McKennie, Ream, and Dest and Acosta are all on yellow cards. So seeing them get one in this matchup would be extremely disappointing. Disappointing.
I wish you could transfer them. Like, give them to Jordan Morris and Shaq Moore. Give them all 5. Like, make them just sit out the rest of the tournament.
I'm with you. I would give mine to Haji Wright.
And Haji, it's fine.
Again. We're actually looking pretty similar to Netherlands in terms of XG so far. We have a 2.5 XG. So going back to XG, expected goals so far in the tournament. If all things considered, the stats would have us at scoring 2.5 goals so far in this tournament. For the Netherlands, that number is 2.3. Despite them scoring 5 goals, they've made the most of very, very minimal opportunities. And a lot of that is Cody Gakpo, who we'll get to. In terms of opponents' XG, we're conceding 3.1 XG to our opponents. A lot of that, basically probably a whole around 1, is attributable to the PK for Gareth Bale. But they're also conceding 2.7 expected goals to their opponents. So both of us technically should be giving up more goals than we are, and technically giving up more goals than we're scoring. So very similar storylines in terms of our productivity and defense in terms of goal scoring threat. Only Netherlands, their center back Nathan Ake and De Ligt both have yellow cards as well. So something to consider for them, but only Ake has been starting. De Ligt, I think, started the first game, hasn't started again. What about head-to-head? History between our teams.
Head-to-head history, they've got us one. They've got overall record. We have 1 win and 4 losses to them, no ties, all friendlies, nothing in the World Cup. So not really caring about that. It's the World Cup. Anything can happen, as we can see.
Not much there. Let's get into the style of play here with Netherlands. Let's start us off.
I would say they're, like you've already said, it's very similar to us defense. They've only given up 1 goal so far. They have, I would say, Virgil van Dijk, one of the best defenders in the world, just given like a fun fact. So getting an understanding for people. I looked up FIFA rankings, which isn't always like your main thing, but he is a 90 while Tim Ream is a 70. So it would be like if Jake and I took a test and I got a 90 and he got a 70, just like it would in college, then it would just be like, yeah, that was easy. I'm way smarter than Jake. We expect that. So I think that's the main thing for them, is giving up 1 goal. And then it's going to be a matter of who's going to be able to break through in this game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they do. And it goes against what you would think, because they have been a powerhouse traditionally, at least when you think about the Netherlands. But I think they're going to be a lot more defensive than folks think. And that starts with them playing with a back 3. So 3 center backs, like a left center back, a right center back, and a middle center back. What they don't have is they have some superstars, like you mentioned, Virgil van Dijk. They have Frankie de Jong from Barcelona. They have Memphis Depay from Barcelona, PSV's Cody Gakpo, which he will not be at PSV after this tournament because he's right now tied on goals for the Golden Boot in the tournament so far with some very, very big superstars. So he's climbing his way up there. Outside of that, I'm not as concerned. They have some big players. They don't have great wide players, which I think we have some of, probably more than they do. So I think we're going to look for spaces and have the biggest advantage, most likely on the width, which is where we've punished teams. We punished Iran using that. Obviously the diagonal long ball from Weston McKennie to Serginho Dest and the headed cross to Pulisic for the finish. I think that's a classic Berhalter goal, and one we look to score more regularly. So I think the matchup is there. They do have more height, but not really attacking height. Like they're not going to be the guys that are jumping up on head balls on crosses and winning them. They might have that for corners and set pieces because they can bring the likes of Virgil van Dijk up from defense and contribute to that. So that scares me a little bit. But this isn't like an attacking focused and powerhouse of a team up front. They're more balanced and like you said, I think very defensive oriented at this point in their lives.
I'm not too concerned with the height. We have 2 man buttons. Hopefully, we'll get into starting 11s a little bit, but
we'll see.
We'll see we still have 2. If you have a man button, you should start them, in my opinion. And then looking at the U.S., I think it could be a similar game to the England game. We could either soak it up, like let them kind of have some of the attack on us, and then look to try to do some counters, or we could just try to go at them, which I think we originally did in the England game. So definitely it'll be interesting to see. And we'll talk a little bit more about Greg as well. But it looks like he's always done well starting off these games, and then it's in-game management where people are kind of questioning. So I would like to see. I'm intrigued to see kind of what he goes with, but I agree. I think we'll end up going. We'll push it onto the wide to the wings, and who's going to be on those, Jake?
Let's get into that. Starting 11. I'm going to share my screen here and give you what I have for the starting 11 here. So if this thing, there we go. So I've got, of course, it's blocking Turner's name, but still, I've still got Matt Turner. Yeah, I think this will be the biggest game of his World Cup so far. I think he'll get the most action that he's seen at this stage. So he'll be called on the most we'll have seen. And I think he's up to the task. In the back four, I go to the same back four that we just won with Iran. I think Carter Vickers. I'm not saying that I was anti-Zimmerman going into that game. I think he came in clutch towards the end as the head ball connoisseur. Like he won almost every head ball towards the end of the game, and I was definitely breathing a little bit easier knowing that he was back there to win those. But I don't think, like we said, Netherlands don't really attack aerially, maybe more so on set pieces. So that for me loses a little bit for Zimmerman and may give Carter Vickers, given his performance, an added chance to make the back four here. Otherwise, totally unchanged across the tournament. What do you think in the back four?
I think I go back to Zimmerman. I don't think Carter Vickers played his way out of it. And yes, it might not be as big of an aerial threat for this game, but I thought that Zimmerman looked incredible in the last 15 minutes of the Iran game, and that he'd won pretty much anything that went up in the air. And I think he did fine the first two games. So I don't feel extremely confident with either of those guys, but I'd probably just go back to Zim.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, which is a good problem to have, I think, for Greg. Same middle three, MMA, Musa, McKennie, Adams.
Best three playing together right now in the tournament. There's nothing else to say.
Absolutely. I'm not concerned about Pulisic's injury. Obviously, everyone saw his Snapchat. He'll be available for Saturday, despite how they're not going to let any injury news come through the U.S. Formally until that game, and so he'll be day to day. Up until it, I would believe. There's no doubt in my mind that he plays on Saturday morning. So Pulisic on the left. Same with Josh. I feel like if Josh would have been a big concern, they probably would have come out and maybe already said something to kind of temper expectations. I think he's going to be okay. And like we said in the last podcast, he's locked now. He is the number 9. He had an incredible game. Anyone that says otherwise wasn't watching, because that's something that we're just asking for him. And, you'd like to see him score goals. Everyone would like to see him score goals. But he was dangerous. He connected play. He was strong. He had a very, very solid game that I think cements his name as a starter for the team. And then Timmy Way on the right. So that's my team.
Agreed. I think if Pulisic can start, he should start. If he isn't, put Aronson in. The only thing would be, do you trust Pulisic to get a full, at least 60 or 70 in? So it all depends on how the injury is. But they did say he did come out. He did not get hit in the balls. He got hit on the side. So feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah, not sure how much I believe all that. But that's what we got for the lineups. Netherlands, we kind of talked through a bunch of all the people that would kind of start for them. You don't need to know all the different 11 for them. We mentioned the big ones. But let's talk about expectations for this game. A little bit different. Like I said, this isn't like England where we go in there like just total underdogs. We're probably just going to take wave after wave. We still are definitely the underdogs, which I think we like to be in that position. So I'm okay with that. When I saw the odds last, and they might have changed, Justin, do you know the current odds are? Because I think I had some earlier lines. I think I saw Netherlands at like a minus 200 figure and us at a plus like 170, 180 region for the game itself. I know that the lines have definitely fluctuated since this line opened.
Oh, it definitely has. Netherlands is plus 100. We're plus 330.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Netherlands being,
and that's for the win. And then, just for anybody else that's looking to bet this, you can get ties in the group stage, but not anymore. However, soccer betting is in regulation time. So you can still bet on a tie at plus 230. But if you take USA money line and they don't win it in regulation and it goes to 2 15-minute overtimes, you lose your bet. You'd have to go you'd have to go in, and I guess you have to pick to advance. So to advance would be Netherlands minus 205, US plus 170. So that's probably what you're seeing.
That's what I was reading. Yep, you're right. So I do want to mention one thing too, in that we're talking about money. Greg, for me, he's on house money here. I do think this was the minimum expectation. Like, we need to get out of the group to show that we learned from our mistake in 2018 and we're rebooting this program. I do not think it is expected of him to advance to the quarterfinals after that happens. I think where he is where we wanted to be. Anything more is great. and we're going to be happy about that. I think anything more, and we have cemented our position in the world's top teams, especially heading into 2026, knowing that we should only be stronger by then, looking at our developmental system. Anything less, so if we go home, I think it's hey, we did what we wanted and expected to do. Could have been better, had some things gone our way, but ultimately something to build on.
I completely agree. And I think, like you said, if we advance, we would play the next Friday, December 9th at 1 p.m. against the winner of Argentina and Australia. Argentina should take that. So that could be a fun one to look forward to. But we're gonna focus on Saturday.
We are always on Saturday. Let's get into some listener questions. We got a great amount. So shout out to you all for submitting those. We'll call you out by name and here when we can. But let's get into it. So, and we'll kind of take these in speed round because I think we touched on a couple of these already. But we got a question from Adam on Scally over Shaq Moore as right back sub. Short answer for this one, Adam, is yes. I would definitely take Joe Scally over Shaq Moore as my right back sub. I would take DeAndre Yedlin over a right back sub. I would take a left back over Shaq Moore as a right back sub. Like I would take a lot of things before that. So that is my easy thing to say. What do you have for that, Justin?
Couldn't agree more. We even got a DM from one of my friends, Miss Julie. She asked if her nephew could make the team. Just sent me a video of him dribbling a ball. I'm like, yeah, he should be playing over Shaq Moore. I'd rather just like if Serginho Dest gets hurt and there's no one else available, I'd rather just play without a guy.
Switch to a back three, maybe. The looming question that is answered, and we talk about every episode, but we have the same question: is what about Gio? Are we going to see Gio? The more and more time that goes into this tournament, he'll be healthier, which is great. But the more and more time that he goes without playing, I don't know. I think this is another game that he could offer a significant threat to for us to break down their defense, which has been very strong so far. So would it make sense tactically? Definitely. And do I hope so? Definitely. I'm not sure if we're going to see Gio at this point. Definitely not in the starting 11, barring a Greg mysterious masterclass of a tactician. I don't know.
No, I don't think we'll see him. Hopefully we'll see him as a sub. I would like to see what kind of spark plug he can provide. I know Lou Boys also asked about CCV versus Zim. We kind of touched on that. I think that can go either way. I would take Zim. I know you said CCV, but I don't think it's kind of a toss up there.
Yeah, it is.
And then has Greg earned an extension? The third one from the Lou Boys SC pod. I think he's earned an extension, but nothing like incredible. He definitely doesn't deserve to lose his job. Like we're in the round of 16. Like I agree, we are in the hardest group, but we also have a ton of questions, like you and I and everybody else across the world, on his in-game tactics. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
I think he's in the middle ground right now where he shouldn't be fired, and I don't think he should be extended yet.
I don't even know what his contract is.
I think it's through this World Cup right now. So if you're talking extension, you're okay with it. I'm not okay with handing him 2026 yet. I want to see more. Yeah, whoever this next coach is going to get 2026. So I personally am of the belief that no coach should see more than one cycle. I like the fresh ideas. I think the long-term coaches just lose it over time. So my answer to that is I don't think he's worth him an extension. If he goes and wins the World Cup, give it to him.
I thought you meant like extension and like see how he goes in like Gold Cup and stuff like that.
No, because I think you want to give that next coach as much time as he can to kind of put his or her stamp on the team. We got a question from Chris around who's likely to see more minutes, Gio or Christian Roldan. I don't think Roldan's going to see the field at all under any circumstance. I think maybe actually, you know what? I'll take that back. We were up like 6-0, 7-0 on maybe Christian sees the field. Roldan sees the field because he's such a glue guy, and it would be such a nice thing for him. But I think he is here for that role, and that's to be glue guy. So Gio for me still goes over him. Absence of Gio, we kind of talked about in the group stage. Question from Jacob. It gets to me, I worry for him a little bit mentally. I know he's so young. I just don't want this to be a really negative experience. You saw how disheartened he looked when they were coming back to the team hotel, celebrating their win. You got to put on a smile, Gio. I know it's a hard situation, but this is for your country. Yeah. So I'm disappointed not seeing him, but I don't know if I see him coming in either at this point. So deep.
I think he's still coming in. We just didn't need him in Iran. It wasn't the spot to put him in, so I'm not surprised by that one. And then choice of substitutes and timing of them and set piece tactics from Caden. We talked about choice of substitutes and the timing. I hate how late they are. I love that Aronson came on at halftime, but that only happened because Pulisic got hurt. I think that some of these subs need to happen sooner. I would definitely say, like, stop giving these guys 12 minutes to try to figure out a game in the World Cup. So I would say, obviously, we talked through the starting lineup and possibilities of coming on. Aronson definitely needs to be coming on. Give him at least 30 minutes. I wouldn't mind seeing Gio. And then, I mean, like you said, if we need a right back like a Yedlin to get up and down the field with some pace to have a little bit more attacking mindset for Tide later on, then that could happen as well. Set piece tactics. We have good aerial threat. Ball service has been hit or miss, I'd say, for the most part from Pulisic.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we're still looking pretty good. And just going to whip them in. I would say anything within 30 yards of the goal, we should put in the box. If not,
yeah, absolutely. Got to create a chance at the very least. Like, just give yourself an opportunity. We cannot have those bad services anymore. Like, especially when we get so little of them to start with. We got a question from Ryan around what happens if Sargent is hurt, essentially, and what about Weah in the false nine in that sense. That you're reading my mind. That's kind of what I thought we were going to do at some point in this tournament. I think Greg's made it very clear that he brought the forwards that he wants to play to the tournament. I don't think he sees an alternative of playing a different type of system with the false nine at this point, especially so late in the tournament now. So I would imagine that before, if Sargent's out, which I don't think he will be, and Wright played like he just did, I think next man up right now is Jesus Ferreira to start up top. So that'd be my guess. I don't think he would try something new with the false nine.
No, I agree with that. And I want to keep Weah on the wing.
Yeah, absolutely. Does Greg's his coaching mentality hinder the team? Do we play to the level of our opponents and not necessarily to our level when we are playing inferior opposition and getting wins? That's definitely something that I see. I think we play toe to toe with whoever is opposite us on the side of the field sometimes. I really hope that we can learn to not do that, because CONCACAF is hell for us when we do that. And that's a sign of an inexperienced team for me too. I think as they grow into their own shoes and they get more experience on their belt as professionals, I would expect them to assert themselves on inferior opposition and close games out quickly and get guys, bred and blooded into the game that don't have that experience. So I would expect that to come. I don't think we're there yet.
No, I agree. And last question from Coach Smitty: for being new, how do we get such solid interviews? The easiest question is honestly Gallagher. St. Louis got Gallagher. I was lucky enough to be coached by Jim Cavanaugh for a number of years. And him and Tom Strunk are very instrumental in Gallagher and the progression there as well. And then Coach TK, that's on St. Louis City FC, he was with Gallagher. AJ Palazzolo, also with Gallagher. So I would say it's that and just networking and reaching out and seeing who we can get at the time. But huge shout out to Scott Gallagher. It's not only making soccer players, but better people. So
absolutely. No, good take, Justin. Let's get into predictions here. Do you have yours thought out? Are you good?
Yeah, I have mine thought out. It's
Give me yours.
Kind of, it's a little bit of a lengthy one. I got the US and PKs. And yes, I know it's very, very specific. Dude, that's one. The reason that I was like, what do I really think is going to happen here? I'm like, I think we could possibly pull this one out, but also this team has been making my heart stop the entirety of the tournament. I just wouldn't be surprised if we go to PKs. Here's what I think specifically. I think Netherlands gets one in the first half. I keep saying that around all of these games. If someone gets one in like the run of play in like the 40th minute. And then I think we add in some offensive subs in the second half, Aronson and Gio, and we just keep throwing pressure at them and we get one later in the game. And then by that point, no one's really going to make heavy moves in 2 15-minute overtimes. I think legs are going to be tired. No one's going to be expecting to get to the overtime. And I think subs are going to be pretty depleted. And I think people are just going to be tired. And then we're going to get to Matt Turner just being a brick wall and we're getting through. US and PKs. 1-1, win 2-1 in PKs.
I really hope not. God, that's going to be, oh man. My prediction, and I've learned from my past predictions, I don't think I'll ever predict the US to lose again because no one likes that. And I don't like myself for doing that. So, and I still think it's realistic that we get a win here. So I'm going to go US 2-1. I do think they get on the board. And just a side note, I now think that this game will become the most watched men's national team game in the U.S. in history. It already was for Fox when the U.S. played England. And this is on a Saturday. I know it's a little bit earlier, but I think this should be another widely viewed game. But here's how I think it'll go. I think the Netherlands have been watching the tape. I think they will say, come on in. We invite the pressure. We're going to let you tire yourself out, running wave after wave, and not like just conceding and letting us have our way with them, but let us kind of run at them a little bit. Let us attack a little bit, and they trust their defense. And I think they'll look to hit us in the counter through one of their talented forwards, Memphis Depay or Cody Gakpo. That's how I kind of see it going, at least to start. I do think they won't be able to keep us out. We had some very shifty players, and Virgil van Dijk is a star. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's the guy that's just the incredible one-on-one defender, and he deals with that shifty and those dynamic forwards that we have. I don't think it's hard to deal with that for any defender, but I really think that we have that advantage there. I think we're going to get our goal. I think we'll hopefully learn our lesson and get another one later, probably in the second half, and then we will start to we get our second goal. I do think we shift very, very defense oriented, not like we just totally lapsed during the Iran game, but I do think they're going to get a goal after we've already gone up 2-0. And I just hope we don't sit back and park the bus after getting a goal in this game. I was talking to one of our friends, Tony, about this. It's so frustrating when you just concede that and you just let them come at you. We need to have personnel on the field that can relieve pressure, because not only is it painful for us, their lungs are just busted, just running and running and running. And we need experience, we need maturity, and we need heart out of these players. And they have all those things. They just got to assemble them. So I just really hope it's not, even if it's a win, I really hope it's not the same way that we did Iran, because that was just, oh.
And I think our offense is picking up. You had stats in here that we have we had 2 goals, but 16 shots and with only 2 on target through the first 2 games. But then in our most recent game for Iran, we had 12 shots and 5 on goal. Yeah. And that's what you need. That should be a consistent stat. You need double digits regular shots, and I would say at least 4 on goal to even have a chance at winning games. So
I think if Sargent plays, Sargent gets a goal in this game. That's where I'm thinking one of them's going to come from. So that's what we got for you. I know it's been a little bit longer of a primer for you all, but this is a bigger game. We're in territory now that we've only gotten to 4 times. This is our 4th time, but now 2 in a row in the past World Cups that we've participated in. And we're hoping to get further. We got into the quarterfinals in 2002 after beating Mexico in the round of 16. And like I said, in 1930 in the first installment ever. So let's make history. The boys can do it. We know they can do it. And we've given you the reasons why and what it's going to look like. So hopefully we're right. We're both predicting dubs here. So go USA. But before we cut you all out, Series 6 had a big Black Friday sale. If you didn't catch it, I'm not a big Black Friday shopper. Obviously, they still have deals, and you can get deals by using our code BALLWATCHING for 15% at checkout when you go to Series 6. They have an incredible gear. I know they're going to start having some more city gear as well, but tons of cool clothing, merchandise, very, very STL themed and oriented, and like brands as well, like, Anheuser-Busch and a lot of local restaurants and shops, which I know we've highlighted in the past episode. So go to Series 6 for your Christmas shopping for any of your really relatives, and follow us, interact with us, Twitter, Instagram, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your cousin. We're all watching this stuff. Like, the World Cup is a world thing. And it's become a lot more of a national thing, as we're seeing with these numbers for viewership. So more the merrier here at Ball Watching. And that's all I have for you. I mean, go USA, baby.
Go USA.
Let's get this dub. See y'all on the streets.